Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're excited to talk to you about how Immix and Trackforce are creating an integrated solution for remote guarding to drive more profitability in your business. So a little housekeeping before we get started. Our discussion may include predictions, estimates, or other information that may be considered forward-looking. While these forward-looking statements represent our current judgment of what the future holds, they are subject to risks and uncertainties that could cause actual results to differ materially. You are cautioned not to place undue reliance on these forward-looking statements, which reflect our opinions only as of the date of this presentation. Please keep in mind that we are not obligating ourselves to revise or publicly release the results of any revision to these forward-looking statements in light of new information or future events. As I said, hello, everybody. My name is Randy Jacques. I'm the Vice President of Partnerships here at Trackforce, and I'd like to introduce you to today's speakers. From Immix, we have Aaron Bullard, who is the Director of Partner Relations, and Jason Caldwell, Sales Director for GuardForce Accounts. And joining me from Trackforce is James Benham, our Chief Strategy and Growth Officer. Thank you all for presenting with us today. Now, a little bit about the agenda of today's presentation. We're going to start with an overview of the Immix and Trackforce solutions, and then go to insights into the shift in the industry into remote guarding. We will also have a spotlight on one of our customers, Olivier, and then we will have a live demonstration and an overview of this integration. We'll follow that up with Q&A, so any questions that you have, please type them into the Q&A feature on your webinar, and at the end of the webinar, we will answer all of your questions. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to James to get us started.
Great. Thanks, Randy. And thank you, everybody, for joining today. I'm going to take us through a bit of an overview of Trackforce and the capabilities, just for grounding as we kind of go into the details here. But effectively, Trackforce is the security workforce management platform that really helps guarding companies to really centralize their workflows across a single platform that covers field operations all the way through to the back office. It helps empower guards in the field with automated tours, mobile patrol to drive consistent service delivery. And ultimately, the data that they generate in the field is now captured within that platform to allow you to analyze in real time the data, allow you to spot trends and understand actionable insights with clients that ultimately downstream you can share with your clients and demonstrate the value of your service that you're providing to your client base. And so if we double click on it, we can just kind of understand the platform a little better. There's really two sides. On the left side, you'll see really how do we help you protect your people, assets, and property. And on the right side, how do we help you run your business in an efficient way that helps you scale as you kind of look at rising demand in the market, but do it in a compliant way. And those would be two interesting themes that we talk about as we get into the details here. Now, if we go back to the left, really when we think about guarding, it's really around on-site static guarding, mobile guarding. How do you really deliver tours? How do you track GPS? How do you manage those assets in the field and ultimately deliver that experience and generate the data that's required for your clients in terms of proving that you're delivering on a safer environment? As we go into the back office, then you have to think about how do I hire, onboard my employees? How do I plan and schedule them? How do I ultimately pay them? How do I invoice my customers? So those are all questions that we answer on the back office side. And then integrate from a gross payroll perspective into payroll providers. In the US, we partner strategically with Paycor. And then on the ERP side, integrate with Sage Intacct. Obviously, our open API layer allows us to be ecosystem friendly, to integrate more broadly with all providers across multiple platforms. And the last piece is really around data services. So we really try to democratize the data that gets generated from the field. And that's really through three ways. One is through Data Lab, which allows you to build dashboards and understand trends and patterns. The other is through data replication that allows you to take operational data out of the platform and move that into and mix that with other systems through data warehousing. And then API access that really allows you to integrate more broadly into your ecosystem to allow you to differentiate as a company. All of that is built from the ground up on a cloud platform on AWS, and it comes with all of the various certifications that you need to have the confidence that you're going to be able to run with the uptime and security that you need to serve your customers. So that's really kind of a very high level view of the platform that Trackforce is operating in the market with today. Now, if we go to the next slide, we want to talk a little bit about what we're seeing in the industry in terms of this shift to remote guarding and get some audience feedback as well. So if we go to the next slide, really it's a tale of two worlds, right? We see the traditional guarding business, single digit growth rates, typical gross margins that you would see for a services oriented business, but EBITDA margins are challenged, right? We continue to operate in the single digit EBITDA margin world in the traditional kind of man guarding business. And then when we look at remote guarding, which is kind of this next level, you're seeing much higher growth rates, right? Roughly 35% growth rate based on the demand of, security operations centers and monitoring. Better gross margins, obviously associated with that, given the scale of the operations that they can reach, and ultimately the downstream EBITDA margins that result. So when you mix those two things together as a business, you can really shift the margin profile that you're looking at. And let's talk about what that looks like across really four archetypes of businesses on the next slide. So really, we see standardized firms that are operating in traditional guarding, using guard tour, maybe some basic video surveillance like closed circuit CCTV monitoring, maybe connecting into some access control systems. But really, it's looking at reducing human error. How do we drive accountability through digitizing the workforce and managing costs? As we progress to kind of this next archetype, it's really around how do you unify security platforms? How do you do mobile guarding, real-time guard dispatch? How do you track those folks in the field to deliver a faster response? Perhaps pull more data in for data-driven insights and start to move the needle on lowering labor costs. Now we move into the last two, which are, I think, fundamental to this transformation going on in the industry. And that's really around how do you become proactive, which is really leveraging more remote video monitoring capability, but integrating that upstream with AI to really reduce the noise, to identify the right events for the right person with the right assets to deliver the right response. And that's really where we're trying to connect between upstream camera systems and access control and alarms to downstream last mile response where those most critical events are required. So that's really fewer guards on site perhaps, but 24/7 monitoring for all threat vectors that your clients need. And then ultimately moving into this fully optimized world, right, where you become much more predictive, you're integrating with all sensors, and you're scaling that across many, many sites in a way that doesn't drive up labor costs associated with your ability to kind of touch more sites. So I'll pause there for a second and really just we want to poll the audience now to get a feel for where do you think you are on your journey when you think about those 3 or 4 different archetypes of organizations. All right. And I'm not able to see some of the results coming in just yet, but we'll let those come in for another second or two. There we go. Excellent. So we're getting some results in here, and I think we're seeing sort of a distribution. Obviously, in category number 4, we're seeing folks who feel they're less optimized in terms of being able to connect all the pieces together. Sort of a good mixture between standardized, integrated, and proactive. But that's great to see because that really means everybody on this call is really leaning into this trend of how do we actually better serve our customers through really integrating some of the processes around remote guarding. Amazing. So thank you for your feedback. I'll hand it over to Aaron, who will take us through a little bit of an Immix overview.
Yeah, very interesting. Thanks, James. Just to give a little bit of background on Immix. Immix is a software platform that is designed for commercial central stations and companies that want to provide monitoring services or offer services like remote guarding or SOC as a service. So we integrate a wide range of security products into a single operator interface, creating that single pane of glass to manage security or safety-related events. We have been around for over 20 years, and we've largely been focused on video, but we do also serve as an aggregator for other types of technologies, including things like access control, alarm receivers. You'll see things like situational awareness tools, lone worker solutions. You see AI listed there. Mobile applications, other automation platforms, dispatch, of course, is very relevant here, and other different types of technologies. Something that we are very proud of is our internal expertise. So many members of our team, myself included, were actually previous Immix customers and have hands-on experience inside of a monitoring center that really comes in handy as we build these types of integrations. I do want to highlight a couple of the benefits for using the Immix platform and looking at the two different products that we have, the Immix Central Station platform and the Immix GuardForce product. Our software is browser-based, which does make it very easily accessible. It's very customizable, and really it's something that you'll see some of these themes of option choice and flexibility, which we want to make sure that it does have that easy to use interface. It can be customized to the different services that you want to provide for your customers. We do have the ability to enhance and add all of these different types of tools based on the suite of technology that you're looking to utilize. And we want to be able to grow as your business scales. And so looking at the two different platforms, it is really going to be designed and customized to the types of services, to the types of solutions that you are going to be trying to create here. So the TrackTick integration in particular is going to be available within both of these different platforms. So please go ahead and carry forward. Want to look at providing some of the different context of the benefits of the integration itself. So as we looked at how different customers were utilizing both Immix and TrackTick, we wanted to see some of the various benefits of both of these different platforms. And what we found was we wanted to be able to reduce some of the manual intervention that these customers were having to do. So with reporting in particular, with dispatch, we wanted to make sure that the fragmentation of the data as they were having to create these different workflows, that the data that they were passing along during the process, the centralization and the oversight of these various events, that they were able to pass this information along in a very efficient process. We wanted to make sure that we could filter out any sort of false positives, that we could create the most effective workflow possible. We wanted to automate billing and invoicing, and we wanted to make sure that we could generate comprehensive reports. I think one of the most important factors of this is being able to demonstrate the value to the end user, making sure that you can prove the value of the services that you are providing to your customer. And so that's something as we go into the workflow of the actual solution itself that we're going to capture here. So looking at the integration, what we have is an event that's going to be initiated. Typically, you're going to see a lot of these are going to be initiated by a video alarm. That could be something that is, AI driven. So a video analytic, it could be, a Berg system. A lot of these you might see as access control, or it could be something proactive like a scheduled video tour. Now, at the point that an operator picks this up and determines that it is actionable, within Immix, it's going to be declared some sort of incident that needs to be escalated into TrackTick. So that report and that data becomes escalated to the TrackTick system. That dispatch or that report is created. That incident becomes resolved into TrackTick. And then you see that workflow goes into the client system. So the client report becomes created, the invoice is delivered, at which point you see that demonstration of the value of the service to the customer. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Jason, and Jason is going to give you a little bit of information on our customer, Olivier, and he's going to provide a live demo of the integration. Jason, you are muted.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Aaron. Again, my name is Jason Caldwell. I am the sales director for our GuardForce division, which does include the customer we're talking about today, which is really the customer that kind of spurred us driving forward with Trackforce in developing this integration. They came to us with a need to really synchronize mainly their reporting across the entire security ecosystem for a few of their customers that not only used their services for managed security services, remote guarding, access control, video verification, things of that nature, but they also contracted with manned security companies as well. And they wanted to be able to create more seamless dispatches and have a better reporting structure that covered both manned services and remote guarding services. And so this was one of the first customers that came to us to really kind of spur our thinking and how can we partner to deliver a solution that's really going to benefit the industry. So they are currently UATing it right now. The phase one, what's available today is the reporting piece. The dispatch piece will be available by the end of July. But even having the reporting piece and the synchronization between the two platforms has already provided some tremendous benefits for Olivier. And you can read the quote from their president and CEO there, but it's basically allowed them to really consolidate that reporting across both remote guarding, managed services, and manned guarding, giving those clients a much more complete picture of their security operations, making it easier for their teams to work more efficiently and at scale. By bringing that data together, they can demonstrate the value more clearly to the customer and support smarter and faster decision making. And then he goes on to say he's really excited about the dispatch piece, which is coming in, which will move him even closer to a fully connected end-to-end solution, really covering that last mile that will improve service quality and operational responsiveness. Now, with that, I'm going to share my screen to run just a quick demo of how this solution will work. And hopefully everybody is seeing that. Let me just move my toolbar here. So what you're looking at here is, this is the Immix alarms page. So those of you who have never seen Immix before, what you're looking at here is essentially where an operator or an agent in a SOC lives and breathes. Immix is an event-based platform by nature, meaning we are relying on the technology at the site to tell us when something is going on and we need to do something. So that can be in the form of an alarm, which you see here. I do have an alarm in the queue. It's giving me some pretty specific information, such as a person seen, because this alarm is using video analytics or AI. As Aaron mentioned, probably about 75% of the alarms that come into the Immix platform across our entire customer base are video centric, meaning the camera system is the actual intrusion tool, if you will. And the vast majority of that use either some sort of AI or analytics to detect those specific threats, people, vehicles, weapons, loitering, things of that nature. So alarms come into this queue. If it were a scheduled patrol, as Aaron mentioned, we do video guard patrols, and you can schedule those at regular intervals throughout the day. Those would populate here. And then at the bottom, it just tells you any live active events that are being handled. Won't go through an exhaustive this demo of the software because we are a little bit limited on time. But what I'm going to go ahead and do here is process this alarm that's sitting in the queue. And bear with me because my computer crashed yesterday and I'm using my wife's 8-year-old PC to do this. So it is a little bit slow to load, but it's doing its job. So what this pulls up is what Immix calls the site monitor page. And what's the most important thing to note about this page is this is the interface that the SOC will see every time. So as Aaron mentioned, we integrate with more than 500 different manufacturer products on the market. The vast majority of those being video centric, but plenty of different intrusion, access control, GPS, audio, you name it. Chances are we can bring it into the platform through one facet or another. You'll notice it's dominated by 2 video images. The image on the left is the audit footage or a recorded 10 to 15 second clip of the event that triggered the alarm. On the right side is the live view, which would be a live shot into that same camera. And yes, I realize you're seeing the same video footage on both sides. This is just canned recorded footage in my demo. With either one of these, they can be blown up into its own window where you can get a little better view, a little more data. Here in the audit footage, there's a couple of icons in the lower left if you wanted to take a snapshot. So there's a little camera icon there. You can take a snapshot. The down arrow would allow you to download the full video clip. So if, for example, you wanted to email that to an account stakeholder or to a responding security officer so that they have an image of who they're looking for when they get on site, that can make for a much more effective response, hopefully resulting in a better security outcome. On the right side, this camera can also be blown up. If I can get past this little, I've got something blocking my view that will not allow me to blow it up. But what I can still show you is that Immix has PTZ capability built within, so you can pan around, zoom around. So if you wanted to get a better look at somebody, maybe a closer view, you still have the ability to take a snapshot from there should you need to. It doesn't give you the ability to download the clip because it's actually not a clip. This is live footage that you'd be looking at. Just a few other things to point out in the interface. Here in the center of the page are different devices. So, different cameras that I can access. Simply click on the camera and it will change that live view on the right-hand side. If I had an audio device, so if there was maybe a loudspeaker that I know my first protocol, if I see somebody in what's considered a no-fly zone, is to do a talk down and tell them, they're in a restricted area, they need to leave immediately. Then I can do that with a simple mouse click to engage that audio device. Same thing with relays. If I had a relay to maybe pulse open a door or turn on lights or something of that effect. At the top, one thing I'll point out, we do give you the ability to view multiple cameras at once. So you don't just have to look at one at a time. You can create a multi-view within Immix. As many as 32 cameras can be viewed on a screen. Obviously, you would want to factor in the size of your monitor so that you can have a large enough view to be able to see enough detail that you need in order to provide response. If there were additional cameras for this site, there's a little next button up here in the top right that would be available. It's grayed out to me because I only have 6 cameras for this particular demo site here. Also details, so just basic details about the site can be populated. So you can have your basic address, phone number, police department, fire department. This blank space can really be anything that you want, any type of content you want to put in there. We often see customers putting in maybe some general site protocols or URL links to employee databases, contractor databases, vendors, authorized people that could be on site so that you can quickly access that information. You can do things like populate key holder call lists. You can even bring in site staff information, complete with photographs, contact information, passwords that you can validate with a mouse click, for example. Now, you'll notice that one of these buttons up here that says close event is blacked out to me. I can't close the event. Why? If you look at the bottom half of the screen, there is a script associated with this specific event. So a script is a specific set of actions that the operator must perform before they can close an event. It's very easy to follow a script. You simply click on the script steps. So you'll see the first one. view camera 1 outside analytics. Well, that was the camera that automatically populated because it's the one that went into alarm. So that script step has a green check mark. Now it's asking me to view a different camera. So if I click on that, it's going to show me that particular camera view. It asks me to view yet another camera. Now it's asking me a yes, no question. So now we're getting into some if-then scenarios. So an intruder seen, yes. Here it gives me a name and a couple of phone numbers to call. Let's say he doesn't answer. I get a secondary contact and so on and so forth until I reach somebody, explain what's going on, and get further instructions as to how to escalate. Hey, we want you to dispatch and create a report in TrackTick. Well, then I can go here to my extensions tab, and I can open up my TrackTick extension, where right now what you see here is the reporting. So that's all that's available today. There will be a dispatch element of this soon to come. So you would see probably there'll be some other box or button in here that's going to be able to automatically initiate a dispatch. Normally the operator is going to have to, maybe go to the details, find a phone number to call the guard company, call the police, whatever it is. So we're trying to eliminate some of that manual intervention and automate as much of that as possible between the two systems. But today we have the ability to enter audit notes. So if the operator wanted to enter a note, so suspect in black, ignored, voice down, command, officer, dispatched. And then you can submit those notes. And then if you want to then create an event summary, you can enter it here. So maybe it's officer and maybe he's got an identification number, 219, arrived, confronted and apprehended suspect. I'm probably misspelling stuff here. PD made arrest. Then we can submit that outcome and report. And it's going to give us a bunch of templates. So these are templates that are created on the TrackTick side that we can select from. So maybe, okay, this was an Immix camera event. Next. We want to include the Immix audit data. Next. We did a remote dispatch here. So next. Now it's going to confirm, okay, I want all this information in the report. I'm going to submit that report. Now I'm done. Now I still have to close the event out in Immix, so I'll close it out here in Immix. I can select my outcome. Now you can have as many outcomes as you want. We try to keep it brief for the demo purposes here, but we'll just say security dispatched. You can type in notes up to 5,000 characters, and you will close it, which will automatically bring you back to the alarms page in Immix, because again, this is probably going to have additional alarms waiting in there or patrols. This is again where an operator lives and breathes. But if I want to go review my report, I can simply come over here to my TrackTick dashboard and refresh. Again, 8-year-old machine, I apologize for the lag. I'll come over here to my operations reports. And it looks like the event was already in there. It had already populated. But if I want to view the Immix camera event, which is the report I just submitted, then here's what it looks like. It pops up. This is all the details. There is a URL here that can take you back to Immix to review the event. And Immix in the Immix audit log is a full multimedia audit trail. So not only do you have all of the text that you see here, but you also have the ability to view any video viewed by the operator. If there was any audio conducted by the operator, you would be able to listen to that audio. And then you also have the ability to add additional comments or notes here in the TrackTick. So if that dispatch resulted in additional details that needed to be included, you could add those here. And then there was another thing that I wanted to point out, which is, how do I get to it? Hang on. This is what I'm sorry. I apologize. Right here, incident analytics. So here's where you can get some stats and trends on how your operation is handling, what types of events are coming in, how are they being handled. You can come down here and get more specific details, counts. So those of you that are familiar with the TrackTick interface, I'm sure you've seen things like this before with regard to manned guarding, but now you'll have the option to create all these templates for remote guarding services. With that, I'm going to stop sharing and have Randy go back to the slide deck. And we'll just kind of recap what we have discussed here today. So the highlights of the integration, phase one available now in beta is the integrated reporting. So being able to complete the picture of the full ecosystem, full security ecosystem for a given customer that's using remote guarding services along with manned guarding services. Next slide is the automated dispatch, which we're very excited about. Again, reducing manual intervention, automating as many of these tasks to create efficiencies, faster dispatches, better security outcomes, bridging that last mile response is going to be really, I think, the most valuable feature of this partnership. And finally, seamless invoicing. So you'll be able to combine all of your invoicing for your manned, mobile, and remote guarding services into a single invoice. And I think there we open it up. I'll turn it back over to Randy for Q&A.
Great. Thank you so much, Jason, for all of that. And as a reminder, if you have questions, please enter them into the Q&A section of the webinar. And we have our first question. When an officer is dispatched, does it create the dispatch in TrackTick as well? My organization is already integrated to TrackTick for dispatch and patrol. It would be most useful if this information we push into TrackTick for action. Or does the OpSpec need to then also go into TrackTick and create a dispatch? Jason, you want to talk about how that feature integration is going to work?
It is designed, so it's not available yet, but will be available by the end of July, and it will automatically create the dispatch in TrackTick.
And maybe I can add to that, Jason, just as we deploy, you don't want to have multiple clicks. You obviously want to integrate and push the dispatch automatically into the TrackTick dispatch interface. But with Smart Assign, you can actually automatically assign some of those dispatch requests. So you're minimizing the amount of intervention depending on the event type to really reduce the latency in response, which is the goal of this integration.
Great, thanks, James. Our next question, when an officer activates the SOS function, can we view the alarm in Immix with the video footage from the mobile device?
So I think the short answer is not yet on that. So obviously you can see some of the field responses through the TrackTick operational portal. But as we iterate in the field with customers like yourselves, we obviously want to understand kind of those high value use cases where you're seeing need for further integration. So this is getting started with reporting and then obviously integrating dispatch. There's so much more we can do together, but we can't do it alone. We need support from folks like yourself. So stay tuned on that, and please don't hesitate to reach out to your rep if you want to engage further.
Great, thanks, James. Next question is, will TrackTick show KPIs such as average alarm response time on Immix?
Yeah, I'll take that one again, and Jason, you can add color. But so we haven't we have the event types. So the incident response analytics is all captured in TrackTick. So whether that's from the camera network, access control, alarms, all of that data is now being pushed into TrackTick for incident analytics. So all of those data elements are there. And then as we think about dispatch, SLA and response times are monitored and measured on the TrackTick platform. As we integrate more with more reporting data, I think putting the KPIs and response times from responding to camera events just makes sense to kind of integrate into the overall reporting paradigm.
And I'll just add from the Immix side, if you're looking to capture those metrics from within the Immix platform, alarm response times, alarm processing times, how quickly is an operator picking up an alarm versus how long is it taking them to process it all the way to that dispatch. All of that is easily trackable and reportable through the Immix platform as well.
Great. Our next question, do we need a VMS?
Well,
Jason, I'll let you start with that one.
It could be a VMS, it could be an NVR, it could be a DVR, it could be individual IP cameras. So again, we integrate to hundreds and hundreds of different video systems out there. But Immix is not a VMS. We are an alarm monitoring software platform. So what we are designed to do is receive data from a VMS or an NVR, a DVR, an access control panel, an intrusion system, and then we essentially connect to that particular system and mimic their interface using our own. Is essentially all we're really doing. So we're able to pull in those alarms, able to provide that live feed. If there's relay control, audio control, pan, tilt, zoom capability, all of that you just do through that single Immix interface. So if you're monitoring, let's say you have customers that have 10 or 20 different video products out there, your SOC team does not have to learn the interface for all 10 or 20 of those. They only need to learn one interface.
Great. Now, Jason, the next question is, with the video first platform, does that mean that we can push our clients to have cameras instead of whole alarm systems?
Yes. As I mentioned, probably about 75% of the alarms that come into the Immix platform are camera driven, meaning it's a lot of outdoor environments. Maybe they're protected by a fence. Maybe they don't even have that much. And those cameras are typically running either analytics or some sort of AI, whether that's AI at the edge or in the cloud. To really, the issue with camera alarms is the biggest issue is false alarms and nuisance alarms. So there's a lot of factors that go into that, and Immix offers a lot of ways to mitigate those and make your operations run more efficiently.
Great, thanks, Jason. This question is for James. In the 4 stages of development, there was mention of AR/VR. I've heard of no use cases of this in the industry. Is this something that some companies are beginning to do? Is there a future where AR can be built into mobile officer viewing of sites based on captured live video for safety use cases?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think augmented reality technology is not a reality for sure in this space, but I think it makes a lot of sense. So Immix knows where every single camera location is. The Trackforce platform and TrackTick know where every single officer is. So how do we triangulate, but also help guide that individual to the right location where that event is occurring, or if that event is moving along multiple cameras? So I think as we think about floor mapping, as we think about real-time location tracking, indoor beacon technology, all of those things are coming to the fore, which today I think a lot of firms are doing kind of top-down, dispatching someone with verbal direction or direction that shows up in a dispatch report that is text-based. But how do we better enable the guard to not only provide situational awareness, so how do you understand the picture of what you're walking into, but also guide you to that location in the least amount of time? And that's, I think, where we're really going with this. And really it's all in the service of workplace safety for the officer, but also reducing the response times to really create a safer environment for your customers.
Great, thanks, James. Now, for Jason, for you, how many cameras are you noticing a single operator can monitor at any given time without response times becoming too lengthy?
Yeah, we get that question all the time, and the answer is there is no one answer. It depends on what type of services that particular SOC is providing, and what type of environments are you providing, and how much alarm traffic do those sites create, real or nuisance. How many patrols a day is video patrols? I mean, are you having scheduled, or are you doing a lot of live monitoring where you're using our video wall application, which I didn't show in the demo, but we do offer one where you can pull in cameras from various sites that you need to keep an eye on either 24/7 or at certain times throughout the day, because it doesn't make sense to have those cameras triggering alarms because maybe there's expected human or vehicle activity there, and we only want to look out for certain nuances. So there's really no one answer of how many cameras an operator can monitor. I've seen 2 operators handle 1,500 cameras in a SOC, and I've seen not 1,500, 15,000 cameras, I should say. I've seen 2 operators manage 15,000 cameras in a SOC, and I've seen others where you might see 8 or 10 people managing that same amount of cameras. So it really depends on the service levels, the environments you're monitoring, and sort of what your SLAs are for your customers. Aaron, I don't know if you have anything to add. You've got a lot of background working firsthand in the SOC.
I mean, I think your answer is spot on. I think it depends on how you need to manage it, your SLAs. I think using tools like AI help to cut down on how many operators you need to manage the number of cameras. So, all good answers.
We do
Great, thank
have
you.
a team of individuals. We have a process we kind of go through. If you're new to the video monitoring game, or if you're new to Immix, where we kind of go through a little exercise talking about, all right, how many sites do you have? How many cameras? How many operators? How many sessions of Immix would you see those operators running at one time? Most of our customers will have operators running at least 2 sessions of Immix at one time. It's not uncommon at all. So there's lots of different ways, and then tools we provide, front end and back end, that can help you, make your operations most efficient. So you need the minimum amount of bodies in order to deliver the maximum level of service.
Great, thanks, Jason. Aaron, question for you. Do you all offer an open API for BSaaS or VMS integrations?
And I
if
think
so,
I actually recognize the name. Yeah. Happy to reach out. I think we've got some of the contact information. We don't necessarily have an API, but we do work with, manufacturers and partners to develop integrations with companies to make sure that we can integrate, VMS and things like that into our platform. So.
Great, thanks, Aaron. Awesome. Next question is, I think for James. In working with a lot of our, guarding customers, a lot of times they have difficulty framing selling these capabilities. What can be done to help educate folks for working with customers to explain the value of these integrations?
Yeah, it's a great question, because the end customer probably has cameras, they probably have security, but I think really the story is around how do you integrate those to really deliver a more holistic security presence to protect the institution, right? And when those things are integrated, you're going to be able to react much, much faster to events when they occur, because those are the events that matter. I think the other thing is really that's changing the game is just putting AI on the front end in terms of the computer vision models that are out there with the camera integrations and camera analytics vendors that Immix supports today, because that's going to take 4,000 events down to 3 that really matter that you're going to respond to. And I think when customers see it in that light, they really understand the impact of that conversation. But we're always working with our customers to better help them understand how to position and sell the platform that's really powering the service that they're providing.
Great, thanks, James. If there's no more questions, with that, then let me thank Aaron, Jason, and James for this very informative presentation today, and thank all of you for joining us. If you want to learn more or schedule a more in-depth demo, please email the Immix team at trackticket@immixprotect.com or the Trackforce team at hello@Trackforce. Also, if you are a current customer, please reach out to your CSM. Now, with that, we will be having a short survey once this webinar completes, and we hope you take a minute to fill that out. Additionally, in your email as a follow-up from this webinar, there will be a link to our benchmark security that is now live. We would really hope and encourage you all to take that survey, and we will be making a donation to Canines for Warriors for every completed survey. So with that, thank you all again for your time, and we look forward to seeing you on our next presentation.